comes a point in every reader's life where they discover that they have a massive pile of books by their bed that they're avoiding. No, seriously, hard avoid. It's a problem. Hi guys, it's Leanne and I am here today to bring you some personal shame. Yay! This was a great idea. You see, since my birthday, which was in March, so, you know, a couple of months ago now, I have been seriously struggling with finishing books. Not necessarily with reading. I've definitely been reading, but I've been reading a lot of things in little bits, and very little bits, and not actually finishing any of them, and actually it's starting to drive me a little bit insane. So I'm here and I'm telling you guys about it in the hopes that you can pressure me, bully me, make me finish the books, because I don't look at Goodreads anymore. It's no longer relevant to my life. I never finish books, therefore I never add them. Therefore my Goodreads number mocks me. It is my arch nemesis of 2020. It's fair to say that in times of stress, this is usually my default reaction. This is why Stackit was born in the first place. This is why I started making myself big stacks of books that I had to read in order or unhaul, because otherwise my multiple reader brain is just like, oh, we will have that one, and oh, that's kind of shiny. This came in today, let's read this. I've had this for 4 years and suddenly the urge has overtaken me when I'm in the middle of these other 3. The urge really never comes on its own. It brings many friends. Many friends. Let's chat. First up, you guys might remember my I am terrified of small books video, wherein I told you that apart from the Wayward Children series by Sean Maguire, anything that is around like the 200 page mark just scares the crap out of me, because I do not like to start books. I dislike it. It is the worst part of reading books. I do not know why my hand has turned into a puppet, but it might be because I'm dressed like Big Bird today. From that list, I was very proud of myself because I read Convenience Store Woman and it was great. I freaking loved it. It was low-key, underhandedly creepy in the best way. This is the kind of literary fiction which I excel at. The kind that just makes you feel kind of like bleh. And so I thought, you know what, maybe by making an actual stack of these and telling people about them, I have lifted the curse. I have broken through the confidence wall. And so I started Picnic at Hanging Rock, and boy was I wrong! Because the exact thing that always happens to me when I read small books happened to me, and like, I had just finished a small book where it took me like 100 pages to fully understand who the character was, and then I only got her for another 100 pages, but that was okay. But then I was faced with the prospect of doing that again, and I was less okay with it. My second complaint about this is just that Vintage really needs to fix their font types, because what is this? What is this? Believe me when I say that my glasses prescription is already very high Vintage. I do not need a magnifying glass on top of that, thank you very much. So it's not that there's anything wrong with this, it's just I read 30 pages of it and went, but I don't want to do it. Which in fairness is how a lot of my lockdown has gone. You know that part when you're like, you're bored of yourself? I'm there. Next up, do you remember my 5-star thriller prediction video with lovely wife Helen, where like I picked 5 new thrillers that had come into the house and I was like, you rank them for me and we'll see if I agree with you. Well, 2 of them are DNF. So I picked 2 of them up, I started 2 of them, I read a good chunk of one, and the other one, not so much. More on that soon. And so I threw them to the side, in one case actually threw it. And then I picked up the 3rd one, and that was The Upstairs Family. The Family Upstairs? I am never going to get that right. I keep confusing it with The Upstairs Room by Kate Murray Brown, probably because I basically just want 10 of this book. Anyway, this one is a thriller about a creepy house, secrets which were in somebody's past a really long time ago and are being newly unearthed, and some really nasty family stuff, so really it is completely up my alley. And I'm pleased to say that I'm absolutely loving it, except that I have got to the halfway mark, literally to the halfway mark, and my brain has gone, no, it's so good, you're loving it so much, what if the end is shit? What if we get to the 2/3 point and you're like, oh no, I can see the twist coming. I don't want to know the twist. Don't spoil the twist. What if it's not as good as your expectations? Which is the dumbest thing my brain has ever done. The dumbest thing my brain has done in a really long time. But I'm stuck with it and I can't make myself keep going, even though I'm loving it. Then there's a book that everybody who's ever been to any one of my live streams is sick of hearing about. A book that I started as a buddy read with the wonderful Simone from Me, Simone and I. And it is The Murders at White House Farm. And I was like, wow, this is very dry. This is very dry. And you have started telling me the story of people who were murdered in like the 80s and the 1800s. It's a choice. It's a choice. And I was not into it. So I picked it up on audiobook. The audiobook is like gazillion 11 million hours long. It's like 15 hours long. It's very long. And I started it and it was fine. And then the audiobook narrator started doing a really annoying thing. She started doing this thing where when she quoted somebody, rather than saying, Jeremy then said this, blah, 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 she says, Jeremy then said this, blah, 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 was because of blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I am reading a true crime book. I am not in a university lecture. It's been a long time since I was in one of those. Can you stop? Can you stop now? And the problem is that I've nearly finished it. Like, I really have nearly finished it. Even, you know, I have resorted to listening to the audiobook on 2 times speed. And normally, I would just be the person who's like, DNF that crap. You're not enjoying it. You're not into... Just let it go. Just let it go. My brain has said we have to finish it because it's 11 gazillion hours long and we have almost got there. My brain is picking a weird time to decide to be a completionist. Now, during all of my upping and downing with these books, I decided maybe what I actually needed was I needed something that felt like home. I needed somewhere to go back to, that I loved the characters, I knew the world, I wouldn't have to spend an inordinate amount of time getting used to it. I could just enjoy it and I could laugh. I could enjoy it and I could laugh. So I picked up The Fifth Elephant by Terry Pratchett. Turns out, guys, Terry Pratchett's just a little bit too on the nose for the current times. I feel like Terry Pratchett is the author that I want to read when I want to laugh about how absurd the world is, but right now I don't feel like I need the parody of it because the world is pretty absurd all on its own. Seriously, like, is Boris Johnson still on my TV? Like, is he still on? I know, it's awful. So I got about a quarter of the way through that and I went, no, this is not for me right now. Maybe I need another world. Maybe I still need something that I know really, really well, but isn't parody. Maybe I need something that's a little bit more serious, but still kind of fantastical, but somewhere I know well. And so I thought, I will read the newest Peter Grant book. I will read False Value. This is what I will read. And then I just kind of didn't. And it just kind of, it sat on my bedside table and the audiobook was downloaded and just nothing happened. Nothing happened, guys. Nothing happened. And I realised that the reason that I haven't read this book yet is because what my brain really wants to do is reread the entire series. I really just want to go back to the start and listen to the whole thing all the way through again, read by Cobnall Holbrook Smith, who has the voice of a god. But I am not allowing myself to do that because I did that last year. Like 6 of the books that I read last year were this series over again. I'm not doing it every time he brings out a new book, Leanne's brain. We're not doing that. No. So I just kind of sat and looked at it for a week or so, maybe more than that, without reading anything. Yeah. After that, I decided that maybe it would be a good idea to try and pick up one of the books that I had dipped my toe into at the beginning of lockdown. You see, I picked up a book by an author who almost never fails me. I picked up 9 Perfect Strangers by Liane Moriarty. Liane Moriarty is almost invariably perfect for me. Like, I never really have any problems with her stuff. I get sucked in. I love all of her characters. I love how complicated people are. I love the contemporary Australian setting. Everything is just like just 1 degree too it's like Desperate Housewives, but good. I'll just let that sit there for a second. Yeah. And then I remembered that the reason that I put this down at the start of the pandemic was because it opens with a heart attack. It opens with a big heart attack and with a lot of health concerns, and there's a lot of health concerns because people go to a spa resort, Leanne. They're not going there for, you know, not the good of their health. And yeah, I noped my way out of that one pretty quickly. But when I say pretty quickly, I mean like after 40 pages, so I wasted some time on this one. This is a really big pile of shame now. There's a lot of shame on this table. I think I'm going to have some chocolate to combat this shame. After Liane Moriarty, my brain kind of said, okay, maybe what you do want is an author who you've had a great experience with before, but maybe pick one that's a little more out there, one that you haven't thought of for a while. So I perused my shelves. I had a good look at everything that was on my bookcase. I looked at authors that I read one book of and authors that I had read 10 books of, and I settled on Lionel Shriver. Because why? I don't know. Lionel Shriver deals with like really deep socio-economic issues in her novels. She deals with school shootings and the weight loss industry and money and the economy, and I don't know. I just don't know. That's what my brain decided that I was going to do. And so I picked up the biggest book that I had that fit that description. And that was The Post-Birthday World by Lionel Shriver. This is literally so heavy that I'm struggling to hold it up by one hand. It is massive. There are many, many, many pages in this. Please don't shame me for... I don't know what happens. It's secondhand. It's okay. It's getting new love. See, this is one of those novels that I really like, which is told in like weird time slipstreams. This is a woman who on her birthday night has the choice of kissing or not kissing a man who is not her husband. Kissing him takes her one way and not kissing him takes her another, and we alternatively get to see where she would have been in either of these two scenarios and who she would have been. And that sounded great. Like, it's like pick your own adventure, but with less fun, I guess. More serious issues like depression and adultery, and I really have no idea, looking back on it, why my brain thought that this was a good idea. But I read a chunk of it. It's not finished. Like everything else. Like everything else on this shame stack. Starting to believe that even chocolate will not fix this. Next, a book arrived in my house that I wanted to rub over my entire body. So after I did that and dried it off, I'm only kidding. Sort of. Mostly kidding. I decided it was going to be the antidote to all of my nightmares. It was going to fix all of my problems because it was a slipstream book. It was by an author that I had read before and loved. It was literary fiction which had recently worked for me, and it was a new book as opposed to like a backlist title, so you know it felt like a little bit of a sneaky treat. And that was Bass Rock by Evie Wyld. Evie Wyld also wrote All the Birds Singing, which is one of my favourite books ever in the entire world. I couldn't start it because I was terrified. I was terrified that it would not live up to All the Birds Singing, and I was paralysed. I was paralysed in my non-reading terror for about 2 weeks, and it just sat there and looked at me and accused me of not reading it for like 2 weeks. And I feel so crap about that because I could have read this book by now, and this book is going to be awesome because it's Evie Wyld and I haven't read it, just like everything else. Yep, I'm running out of space, soon it's going to be up here. Somewhere in amongst all of this, I thought, you know, it's getting desperate now. We might have to resort to graphic novels. We might have to, you know, reading is a habit that you can fall out of. Put down Animal Crossing. I'm sorry, Roald, I love you. Put down Animal Crossing, step away and just pick up a graphic novel. That's all you need to do. So I picked up volume 2 of Heartstopper, which is over there on my shelf, but I refuse to get it because if I add it to this pile you won't be able to see my face anymore. And I didn't read it. I just put it on top of the ever increasing pile at the side of my bed, and I didn't read it. I didn't read it. I am not even counting in all of this stack the 2 books that I started, these 2, reading to Lovely Wife Helen and then had to put down because my brain couldn't do it, or the wonderful book that I am reading right now, which I am genuinely and honestly reading. Like I really am. I have made actual sustainable progress on it, and that is The Hoarder by Jess Kidd, which, wow, is so very a me book. And I'm not also counting The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware, which I started today for a buddy read with the marvellous Victoria from What Victoria Read. I am not in fact counting those books towards this shame total because it's big enough as it is, and I feel really sad about it. So now that you know the weight of my shame, the amount of my shame, the sheer height of my shame, can you maybe tell me how to fix this, please? I would like that, because I'm not enjoying this process. Nuh-uh. No. In all seriousness, guys, I know that it's perfectly fine in times of stress and trouble to put down reading. Sometimes we just can't make our brains focus on words on the page because there's too much going on in our heads and it overtakes it. That is also mental health for you. And that's one of the reasons why we didn't have any real sit-down videos last month, because I just felt bad and I didn't want to tell you guys that I was trying to read the one thing that I've been consistently good at in my life. I was trying to read and I just wasn't reading. So in conclusion, please tell me how your reading has been during lockdown. Has it stalled like a very, very dodgy old bus? Or are you like chugging on into the distance like one of those bullet trains that goes really, really fast? Tell me how your reading is going. And of course tell me if you have read any of the books on this list, and I will finish The Family Upstairs. I will. My brain is going to do it, whether it likes it or not. I will speak to you all soon, guys. Bye! Also, the good thing about this shame pile is that these books have been, here for a really, really long time, so I don't have to put them away right now because they've been out forever.